If Shadow, the retired canine dog, hadn't kept scratching at that floorboard, Emma might have kept believing her nightmares were just dreams. But dogs like Shadow don't lie. They know when something is wrong. And sometimes they uncover secrets no one else dares to see. It started on a Sunday. Emma remembered because her mom, Monica, and her stepfather, Jared, were hosting a neighborhood barbecue. Music thumped from Bluetooth speakers, laughter echoed off the fences, and the smell of grilled ribs filled the sticky Georgia air. Everyone thought it was the perfect summer day, but inside the house, something felt deeply wrong. Emma was pouring lemonade when she heard it. Scratch, scratch, scratch. At first, she thought Shadow was just nervous because of all the noise outside. But when she peeked into the living room, he was frozen in front of the big leather sofa. His ears were pinned back, tail low, eyes locked on the floor, as if he was watching something move underneath it. "Shadow?" Emma whispered. Shadow looked at her, then back to the floor. He put one large paw on the wood and scraped it back, claws screeching. Emma kneeled down, heart pounding, and pressed her hand to the spot he scratched. She felt it, a floorboard that shifted slightly under her fingers. Shadow whined low in his throat. Outside, Jared's voice boomed through the screen door. "Emma, come out and say hi to Mr. Lambert." Emma jumped, her stomach twisted, as she pushed the board back into place. She stood up, wiped her hands, and carried the lemonade outside. Shadow followed close behind, never taking his eyes off that floor. From the outside, Jared was the perfect stepfather. He coached Little League, helped neighbors fix lawnmowers, smiled and called Emma kiddo. But sometimes, there were moments when his eyes went cold and his voice dropped soft and dangerous, when his hand stayed on her shoulder a second too long. Emma told herself it was nothing, but lately, the way Shadow stared at Jared made her wonder. That night, Emma lay awake in bed. Moonlight spilled across her blanket. Shadow paced her room, nails tapping softly on the hardwood. Every so often, he stopped and stared at her door. Emma whispered, "What's in there, boy?" Shadow stopped pacing. He sat beside her bed, eyes steady and serious. Emma couldn't take it anymore. She slipped out of bed, careful not to wake her mom. Shadow followed silently, like a shadow himself. They crept into the living room. Emma kneeled down and lifted the floorboard. Underneath, she found a small metal box, cold, heavy, locked. She turned it over in her hands. On the bottom were tiny numbers scratched in the metal. 1125. The next morning, Jared was in a cheerful mood. He flipped pancakes in the kitchen, humming a tune. "Morning, sunshine," he said, ruffling Emma's hair. "Sleep okay?" Emma forced a tiny smile. "Yeah." Shadow sat under the table, staring up at Jared with sharp, focused eyes. Jared laughed. "Why's your dog looking at me like he's about to arrest me?" Emma shrugged. "Maybe he doesn't like you." Jared's grin froze for a half second. Then he chuckled and flipped another pancake. "You're a funny kid, Emma." As soon as Jared left for work, Emma raced back to the living room. She grabbed the metal box. Her fingers trembled as she turned the dials. 1, 1, 2, 5. The lock clicked open. Inside were 3 things: a small black flash drive, a stack of old photos, and a folded piece of yellowed paper. Emma picked up the photos first. The top one made her stomach drop. It was her, around 9 years old, sitting stiffly on Jared's lap. Her face looked blank, her eyes unfocused like a doll's. On the back, someone had written, "First successful test, Emma compliant, no resistance." Emma dropped the photo, her skin crawling.
She picked up the flash drive. Shadow leaned forward, sniffing it, then let out a low growl. Emma whispered, "I know, boy. I'm scared too." She slipped it into her hoodie pocket. Then she opened the folded piece of yellowed paper. It was a list. Subject 002. Emma. Age 9. Hypnosis depth. Stage 3. Compliance level. High. Further conditioning recommended. Emma couldn't breathe. The room felt smaller, the air thick like syrup. Shadow whined and nudged her gently. Emma whispered, "I don't know what to do." That afternoon, Emma made up an excuse to visit her best friend, Sophie. Sophie opened the door in sweatpants, hair messy, eyes wide open. "Emma, what's wrong?" Emma held up the flash drive. "I need your computer, please." They locked themselves in Sophie's bedroom. Sophie plugged in the drive. One folder appeared on the screen. Sessions. Inside were 10 video files. 4 of them were labeled with Emma's name. Emma hovered the mouse over one file. She clicked. The video flickered to life. A younger Emma sat on a couch, shoulders slumped, eyes wide and blank. Jared's voice came from behind the camera, calm and low. "Good girl. Now when I snap my fingers, you'll remember nothing." Young Emma whispered, "Yes, Daddy." Emma slammed the laptop shut, shaking. Sophie's hand flew to her mouth. "Emma, that's you." Emma nodded, numb. "I don't remember any of it, but it's real, Sophie. He's been doing something to me." Sophie grabbed her shoulders. "We have to go to the police, right now." They arrived at the police station an hour later, Shadow glued to Emma's side. At the front desk, a woman officer leaned forward. "How can I help you, sweetheart?" Emma held out the flash drive, voice trembling. "My stepdad's been hurting me, and other people too. He has files." 2 detectives appeared almost instantly. One, Detective Taylor, crouched down in front of Emma. "Emma, is Jared hurting you?" Emma nodded, tears spilling over. He makes me forget things." Shadow stepped forward, placing himself between Emma and the officers, protective as ever. Detective Taylor glanced at the dog, then back at Emma. "You're very brave, Emma. We're going to help you. Can you tell us everything?" That night, Jared didn't come home. Police arrested him 3 counties away. He had a burner phone, fake IDs, and stacks of cash. Inside his workshop, they found hidden cameras, hypnosis scripts, and dozens of flash drives labeled with other names. The news exploded across the country. Local man charged in hypnosis abuse case. Emma's face stayed private, but photos of Shadow went everywhere. People called him a hero. News stories called him the dog who knew. Emma moved in with her aunt. Shadow came too. Her room smelled of lavender and clean laundry. Shadow had a soft bed beside her, but most nights he slept right up against her side. 3 months later, Emma stood in court. She was 15 now, older, stronger. Shadow sat beside her as she testified. She told them about the photos, the flash drives, the blank spots in her memory, and how Shadow scratched at the floor until someone finally listened. Jared sat shackled across the room, staring at the floor. Emma said, "I used to think the nightmares were just dreams, but they were memories, and I'm not afraid to remember anymore." The judge spoke. "Mr. Jared Walters, you are sentenced to life in prison." Outside, Sophie was waiting. She hugged Emma so tightly, Emma could barely breathe. Shadow stood between them, tail wagging. "You're free now," Sophie whispered. Emma looked down at Shadow. "We're both free." The news faded, but Emma's life would never be the same. Healing didn't come with news headlines or hashtags. It came slowly. It came the first morning she woke up without fear. It came the day she laughed at a joke in math class and didn't feel guilty. It came every time Shadow nudged her hand when nightmares tried to drag her back. Months later, Emma stood on a stage at an animal shelter fundraiser. She held a microphone in trembling hands. Shadow sat beside her, ears forward. Emma cleared her throat. "I never thought I'd be standing here, telling my story. I never thought a dog would save my life. But Shadow did. He didn't bark, he didn't bite. He just kept scratching until someone finally listened. And because of him, I'm free." The crowd stood and cheered.
Shadow barked once, loud, proud. Because sometimes courage doesn't wear a badge or a hero's cape. Sometimes it's a black canine dog with scars on his muzzle who listens when no one else does and keeps clawing at the darkness until the truth comes out. And in the end, it's not just secrets he uncovers. It's freedom. It's hope. It's the chance for a girl to finally breathe and believe that monsters can be defeated. All because one dog